Okay, we are recording. Welcome to our student showcase. Thank you all for being here. We have 8 presenters in our group that are going to be showing their projects that they've been working on. Some of them will be doing their Genius Hour projects, and 8th graders had the option of sharing their Westcott projects, so that we might see a variety of different things. Each presenter is going to have about 5 minutes to present, and then we'll take 2 to 3 minutes to ask questions and or have discussions about the presentations. I'm going to ask if you will mute your microphones when you are not presenting so that we don't have any background noise. And then after the presentations, when it's time for questions and or discussions, there's a little, it looks like this on your screen at the bottom, right by the 3 dots. And you'll press that to raise your hand to either add a question or a discussion point. So I'm going to take 2 seconds. Can everybody practice raising their hand really quickly to make sure that function works and we know where it is? And I can see those all on my screen. Looks like everybody is able to do it. And then Jake pointed out for us, if you want to not raise your hand, you can lower your hand by pressing that button again.
Megan, make sure to, you said for them to mute their mics. They should have muted their videos too to help with the bandwidth.
Okay.
The one's presenting. So just the person presenting, even like when Gabby presents here, once she starts presenting her PowerPoint, Gabby, you can turn off your camera too to help with bandwidth issues.
Okay? Oh, good. Wonderful. Alex, that answers your questions. Perfect.
It'll just be too much.
Did everybody hear that from Mr. Melko? We will all also mute our videos when our presenters are starting so that we don't run into more technological issues. Okay, Gabby, do you have anybody that was wanting to join and watch yours? Do you know?
No.
Okay, perfect. I just didn't want to start yours before we get going. So, any questions before we get started? Presenters, we already went over some other rules and guidelines before this, so just remember those as we start. Please be present in your, as an audience member. Please be present. All right, Gabby, are you ready to go? We can go ahead and get started if so.
Yeah, I have to turn my camera off, right?
Okay. Yep, so if you are not presenting, let's go ahead. I'm going to keep mine, my microphone on until Gabby is ready to go, just in case I need to answer any questions. But it looks like she is already sharing her screen, which is great. Can everybody, well, I can't see you now, but hopefully you can see her screen. I can see it. I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off. And Gabby, are you ready to go?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself, and we're all going to go ahead and get started watching Gabby's.
Okay, so, hi, I'm Gabby Hayes, and my country for the Westcott project was Russia. So what is Westcott? Westcott was a planned second theme park for the Disneyland Resort in California. It was supposed to be a replica of Epcot Center in Florida. It would have had the 7 wonders of the world, 3 pavilions in Future World, and 4 in the World Showcase. The World Showcase currently has 11 country pavilions to showcase people, culture, and architecture. And that's the World Showcase right there with all the country pavilions, and that's an example of one of them. It's the Japanese one. So the country I chose is Russia because it has a rich history and unique architecture, so I thought it would make for an interesting pavilion. Russia has a population of 144.5 million people, with a population density of just 8.4 people per square kilometer. For religion, Orthodox Christianity is Russia's largest, with 75% of the population belonging to it. Its official language is Russian, although 30% of Russians speak English to one degree or another. A pavilion. I wanted the story of my pavilion to encapsulate traditional Russia and dive into its roots and folklore. There were 3 graphics that the pavilions had to include: Ghost, Story, and Wayfinding. Ghost tells you what was there before, so I used a lamp post. Story tells you about the land, so I used a sign, and Wayfinding tells you where to go, like this restaurant sign here that I made. We also had to create a color palette to show which colors will be used throughout the land and reflect the theme and atmosphere. So this is mine, and this is the design rough draft for the map of my land. It focuses on the style and what it looks and feels like. I set up snack shops, restrooms, an exhibit, a restaurant, a souvenir shop, and an attraction. In the middle, there's a gathering center with a fountain, and I made the design circular to help with the flow of people in and out. Architecture and landscape. Russian architecture is unique, with many vibrant colors, ornate details, and domes and slopes. Common vegetation include larches, pines, and tulips. and I wanted the landscape to exemplify Russia as a whole. So my pavilion includes vegetation that can be found in different regions. For example, big sturdy pine trees for wintry areas, and more delicate flowers like tulips for warmer areas. To help bring my land to life, I needed various layers of sound. I chose traditional folk music because it reflects the roots of my country and is closely tied with village life. An example of a traditional instrument that's played there is the balalaika, which this guy is playing. We also needed to create a menu for a restaurant in our pavilion, something that reflects our country. I chose items that were popular in Russia, and the design of the menu captured Russia's elegance and simplicity. For the appetizer, I had pelmeni dumplings, the entree was beef stroganoff, the dessert was zephyr, and the beverages were white Russian wrath coffee and Morse. The mood board is a culmination of all other parts to create a whole. It's an arrangement of images, materials, pieces of text, etc., and intended to evoke or project a particular style or concept. My mood board visually shows various components of traditional Russia. I've included folk dance, clothing, food, and architecture, among other things. The attraction. Each of our pavilions had to have a dark ride as an attraction. A dark ride is an indoor amusement ride on which guests experience a story or theme through scenes within a show building. Disney has made several notable dark rides since it opened in 1955, like Peter Pan's Flight, Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, and Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. In the end, I chose to do the folktale of Vasily the Beautiful because it immerses the viewer in traditional Russia and its folklore. I'll explain what the story is about on a later slide. I had to create a storyboard as part of the process as well. To express the story visually, I just drew the main points of the tale on a piece of paper and worked from there. I wanted the introductions to Baba Yaga and Vasilia, who are the main characters, to have the biggest impact because they set the groundwork for the rest of the story. My ride is a steam train and has a 12 to 15 person capacity. The steam train relates to the history of Russia, much like the folktale. I wanted the audience to feel like they were being transported back in time throughout the whole pavilion, but especially in the attraction. This is a simulation of my ride. The duration is 2 minutes and 28 seconds, and it has a capacity of 2,700 people per hour. I have 9 scenes, and I made it so some scenes were longer and some were shorter, depending on how I wanted it to go. This is my scale model for my attraction. To sum up the story really quickly, a young girl's stepmom sends her out to Baba Yaga, or the boogeyman's house. Baba Yaga has the girl, whose name is Vasilia, complete a bunch of impossible tasks, and if she doesn't, Baba Yaga will eat her. I made robo-tracks with pieces of cardboard and string, a train station where people can load and unload, and this is my steam train right here, and I glued pictures of each scene of the story to the cardboard. Also, you might notice the track layout is different than the simulator, and that's because my original layout couldn't fit onto the bottom piece of cardboard, so I had to switch it up. I learned about Russia and its roots and folklore. Some problems I encountered were my printer didn't print color, and the bottom cardboard wasn't long enough to fit the train station. To solve them, I printed from Office Depot, and I just glued a longer strip of cardboard underneath everything. As I said earlier, I changed the ride layout because it was too big, and my biggest triumph was just finishing it because I worked really hard and I got a lot of hot glue burns. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gabby. All right, so if you are a audience member and you have a question, go ahead and please use that hand raising function. And then Gabby, if you could turn your video back on so that they can see you as you answer the questions and or discussions, that would be great. I'm going to go ahead and start with the first question. What made you decide to present your Westcott project over your Genius Hour project?
Ever since school ended, it was kind of hard to keep it because mine was improving my Polish, and I just couldn't get to remind myself to like take the lessons every day if I wasn't in school, and so it just kind of fell through.
Wonderful, thank you. Does anybody else have a question and or comment that they want to share based on Gabby's presentation? And remember, we're encouraging lots of discussion after the presentations. When you get done with your presentation, you're going to want somebody to have a comment or a question that you can share with. Anybody? Edie? I see you turned your microphone off. Yes, Edie.
I like how detailed your project was and how you made like replicas of everything you learned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Edie. Anybody else? Okay, the timing of your presentation was really great. I think that the presentation itself was very organized. I will say the story or the folk tale was a little creepy. The fact that they would eat them if he didn't complete, is that the boogeyman you said? Yeah. Russia's a little scary to me, I think, still. So what made you choose Russia? You might have mentioned that, but.
Well, it has a rich history and unique architecture, so I thought it would just be interesting to make it a pavilion.
All right, thank you, Gabby. Wonderful job. So I do want to just mention and say this out loud to everybody who is still going to be presenting. Gabby did a really good job. She had her presentation ready to go and shared her screen really easily. She was very articulate and clear throughout the whole thing. Hopefully everybody was able to hear her as well as I could. So that was a really good example of what this can look like. Jake, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
So, I thought you had a really good presenter voice, and I thought like the way you presented everything, like helped me understand it a lot better.
Great, thank you, Jake, so much for adding that comment. I appreciate it, and I agree. All right, well, we are actually at 10:12. I have a whole little schedule in front of me, and 10:12 to 10:13 is when we're gonna transition to our next presenter anyway. So Gabby, great job. Thank you for being first to go. I think that that can be very nerve-wracking, especially over technology, so that's great. Thank you so much, good job. Ellie, you are up next, so if you can take the next 2 to 3 minutes to share your screen. Gabby, that means you can turn off your video. And Ellie, that means you can turn on your screen sharing with your presentation.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, I hear you. Perfect. And this is a time if anybody from your family is going to log on and watch, I'll admit them before we get started. I see your screen, so that's great.
There we go.
Perfect.
Should I go?
Let's wait just 1 minute to make sure. Can you all actually, can you raise your hand on the screen function if you can see Ellie? I know our videos and mics are off. I see Braden. Okay, most of you can see it. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And now you can unraise your hand too. Thank you, thank you. Ellie, yeah, you can go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn off my video and mic. Good luck. Go ahead and go whenever you're ready.
Hi, my name is Ellie, and my Genius Time presentation was painting objects. So here's some of these. These are some of the objects that I painted. I painted a ruler. I actually painted 2 tape dispensers and multiple rocks, because those are pretty easy to paint on. And some of the challenges were that I was running out of supplies, such as paintbrushes and pens, and I would have to improvise, such as using my finger and or paper towel. And some of the successes that I had were painting cool objects, such as the rainbow tape dispenser and the ruler, but as I said, I painted different objects. Some of the supplies I used were paintbrushes and Posca pens. And if you want to actually paint with the Posca pens, you can press down on the pen and it'll make like this huge blob. But if you do that too often, the pen will run out of ink. So, yeah. Well, I chose this project because I wanted to get better at painting, and I was not very good at like fading paints together like an ombre. Thank you. It was really short.
That's okay. Good job. Wonderful. All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Alex, I see your hand raised. Thank you. Go ahead, Alex.
What was your favorite thing to paint?
Ooh, hold on 1 second. Ellie, can you put your video back on and stop sharing your screen so we can see you answering your questions?
Yeah, that's what.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I don't see you yet. I think you need to turn your video back on.
Hello?
There you go. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, Alex, if you can ask your question again, that would be perfect. Thank you so much.
What was your favorite thing to paint out of the things that you did paint?
Well, I painted a really, like, it was a flat rock, but it was, like, bigger than all the other rocks I painted, and I painted it like, a sunset in, like, a beach, and it was, like, really my favorite thing to paint.
Nice.
Thank you, Alex. Grace, why don't you go ahead and ask your question or share your comment?
Okay. Why did you? How long did it take for you to like paint each thing?
Well, I wasn't very patient for the paint to dry, and the rock I showed for one of them, I just sort of painted it blue, and then when it didn't dry, I didn't know that it wasn't dry, so I just started drawing something, but then it started bleeding. So it would take me like maybe an hour to do it because I wasn't very patient with the paint. So yeah.
Thank you. Good question. All right, Jake, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
So I have a question. What did you feel like you learned from this project?
Well, I learned that like it's sort of hard to like paint with a pen because especially these pens are really inky. So if you like wipe your hand accidentally on the rock, it smears and it's really annoying to wipe off. And I also kept forgetting to close the lid to my one of my paints, so it kept leaking. So a lot of the rocks that I had to not use because it just had all these orange blobs on them. So
Sounds like you learned a lot, so that's good. What do you think you might have done differently if you were doing this project again?
well, I would have definitely used like acrylic paints and maybe flatter rocks and different objects.
Well, and that was another one of my questions. How did you go about like choosing which kind of objects you would paint? And do you think you would choose different objects if you were to continue on with this project?
Yeah, I probably would because the first part of quarantine, that's when I really started painting on objects because I didn't really have anything to do. But we were at our lake house and there were just a bunch of rocks, so I just decided to paint rocks. But I probably would, if I did this again, I probably would have maybe done like a water bottle or a case or something.
Wonderful. Great. I love that so much. Does anybody else have any questions or comments about Ellie's presentation? Yeah, Grace, go ahead.
I thought that your presentation was really organized, and yeah, I thought it was really good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. I'm not sure if it's coincidental, but your slideshow kind of matched the room you're in. It's got that like bluish, kind of like spacey theme, and I thought that was pretty cool. You're welcome. Okay, do you have anything else that you want to add, Ellie?
It took me a while to do this because I didn't really know what to do, so I just kept painting on objects because I was confused on what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I didn't know when I should start my PowerPoint or when I should stop doing my objects because, I don't know, I just couldn't find it.
I think that a lot of people that do Genius Hour could probably relate to that idea of like having some confusion about like what exactly is this supposed to look like, because you guys do have just a lot of creativity, but a lot of control in that creativity in this project, and I think that that can be really hard to know when to do what or how to do it. So I think it sounds like you were able to like explore this fun art and be able to, you know, enjoy part of it too, hopefully. But I think that it is a hard process. So good job doing it. Congratulations that your Genius Hour project is now completed. Great job on your presentation. Like we said, it is okay if your presentation's the whole 5 minutes. So no worries on that. Great job. I wish everybody could like give a round of applause, but I know that that's a little bit hard over the computer. So know that we are all congratulating you. And we will move on to Jake. So we will take the next like 2 to 3 minutes to transfer over so that Jake can get his presentation set up. So Ellie, if you want to go ahead and turn off your video, great job, dear. And Jake, if you want to go ahead and turn on your video. I see that your mic is off. Great, Jake, thank you.
Should I share my screen or should I turn my video on?
You can go ahead and start by sharing your screen. I think that that's worked well so far. So, all right, so same thing as last time. If you can go ahead and raise your hand if you can see Jake's screen. I see it on my computer. See that Alex sees it, Grace sees it. Oh, good, wonderful. Everybody's starting to see it. Wonderful. Okay, and you can go ahead and unraise your hand then too. Jake, do you feel ready to start? Does anybody need a quick break to get a drink of water or stretch or anything? I don't see any hands raised. So Jake, if you want to go ahead and get started, I think that's great. Good luck. I am excited to hear it. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and you can start when you're ready.
Okay, just one question. You guys can hear me, right? I just have to make sure of that one thing.
I can hear you.
Okay, good.
I see Edie raising her hand. She can hear you. Yep, I think it sounds like people can hear you.
Okay, so.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jake.
Okay, hello everybody. So this is my book PowerPoint. That is what I did for my Genius Hour project. In the end, I wrote a 67-page book, which I'm proud of, and I'm just gonna read you like my little hook of my book right now. So, the truest mystery of the universe, who is the one to shift it? The light must find him until the darkness blinds him. I don't know if that makes sense to you at all, but that was just kind of like my little hook. So, moving on. So, my biggest motivation was actually Genius Hour just in itself. I was always super creative as like a little kid. I was always like running around in my backyard with my Nerf guns and creating little like stories and stuff. So then when I got older, I thought these stories were pretty cool. So I kind of started to make them understandable so I could actually make them into a book. That's what I wanted to do with them. And then Genius Hour came around and I'm like, I should definitely do this as my Genius Hour project. So would I do this project again? I actually would, because I still have a part 2 of my book and a part 3. I didn't quite finish my whole entire book. I kind of only wrote one part of it. And yeah, I really think that's why I would do it again. I definitely have more to add on. And then the start and middle of my book, we're just going to get into a little bit of the process of how I did my book. So the start was a bit difficult because I had to take my little kid ideas and turn them into a plot. And turning them into a plot that was actually understandable for the reader was definitely the hardest part. So when I got to the middle, I was I got in the swing of it after the first 2 or 3 chapters because I had already implemented the plot and the theme. So it became easier. And so, yeah, middle, nothing really happened. Then we get to my favorite part of the book, the end, because I had already intertwined the start and the middle of my book to end and perfectly wrap it up. I just got to go wild with all my crazy ideas, and that was why I just loved it. And I got to end it on a cliffhanger, which made me so happy. Now, you guys, you're going to love this part. This is my mentor, Sarah Hulse, and she helped me so much. I just had to make a slide about her because the one thing that was awesome about her is I know you guys are going to all scream in your muted camera She is an SGS graduate. Yes, this is true. She is now a college English professor in Nevada, and she helped me so much. Like, I remember being stuck on character development, and when I was stuck on that, I sent her an email, and she gave me just the perfect answer back, and it was amazing. So she helped me so much, so I made a slide about her. So my successes is simply that I really wrote a book. It was 68 pages, and I wrote it in a matter of a few months, because it took me like the first whole month of Genius Hour to actually get the plot going and to understand the plot myself. So I'm pretty proud of that. The one thing that made it hard for me, and I'm giving you a clue on this slide, it's one word, one number. COVID-19, you guys. Yeah, I know you guys might be going crazy, because I know a lot of you have projects that really community mattered in your project, and to be stripped away from that by COVID-19, I know that's hard, but how it made it hard for me was not having a school structure of Genius Hour definitely made it hard for me to not have like that school structure, and with distance learning I had to like scrap my old schedule and build another one, so that was definitely kind of why that was the hardest part. So my process, I'm just gonna make like a tiny mini timeline of how it all worked. So at the start, I had to make my plot and make it understandable. Then I had to start implementing the plot into my book. So after I did that, the middle, I like to call the middle like my flat safari ground. Like nothing happened there. It's just this flat ground with no bumps or anything. And then, oh, whoops, did I click that? Okay. So then my end, it was my favorite part, like I said before. I really just loved writing that part. It was so much fun because I just got to go crazy with my ideas. So then the final part is the journey. So I'm going to tell you the one thing that I felt like I learned a lot. It was patience, and that you can't force an idea on yourself. Like you can't, when writing a book, you have to always have ideas to keep writing. You can't always force those ideas out of yourself. So I kind of think of this as a little metaphor. I like to think about it as ride out the wave, because over time, sand of doubt, the sand of doubt will cover up the sand dollar of the book. And you have to ride out this wave and wait until it washes away all the sand to grab the sand dollar, which is the end product, and crack it open, get all the little seagulls on the inside, and your final prize. So yeah, really I learned that you can't force writing and you have to have patience of mind. Thank you, everybody.
Great, Jake. I love that metaphor at the end. That's a wonderful metaphor, and I'm glad that you persisted through and were patient in having those ideas come to you. Another thing, I thought that you were so expressive, even though I couldn't see your face during that presentation. I could just tell you were really excited to share your journey of writing a book. I kind of want to hear some of this book. I wish that that we had more time to do that, but it looks like we've got lots of questions, so and or comments. So Edie, why don't you go ahead and start with your comment? Jake, can you stop sharing your screen? I see your video is on, but if you could stop sharing. Do you know how to do that? Perfect. There you are. You did it wonderful. Okay, go ahead, Edie.
I like how detailed you were, and you did a really good job, like making it understandable for us. I think you did a really good job.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Edie. Gabby, why don't you go ahead and go?
I like how you didn't have a lot of bullet points and you didn't read straight off the slides. You sounded really prepared. So.
I agree with that. Thank you. Thank you, Gabby. Alex, will you share your comment or question?
So I have a comment. You kept me really interested throughout the entire thing. You were, like Megan said, you sounded very expressive and interested in what you were doing.
Thank you,
Great.
Alex.
Thank you. I thought I saw another hand. Gabby, do you have another comment or question, or is your hand just still up?
Sorry.
Yep. Hand was still up. No, that's okay. Anybody else have a comment or question? Grace, go ahead.
I don't know if you already said this, but why did you choose to write a book?
Well, I chose to write a book because I had all these ideas as a kid of like war stories and kind of like interesting like superpowers. Like if you could think of like Marvel, I liked Marvel little like TV shows as a kid, and I just like thought of all these characters, and I kind of wanted to make it into a book because I thought I had some pretty good ideas. So that's kind of why I decided to make a book.
That's cool.
And if you guys were wondering, this is my book. It's got like it's got this cool cover on it. And yeah, so this is my final end product of a book. 68 pages of paper right here. And I'm pretty proud of this little thing. I have my sister reading it. She needed a book to read, so she decided to read my book, which I'm really happy about. But yeah, I just thought I would want to show you guys the final product of my book.
Thank you so much for showing us that. That's really neat. So can I ask, the 68 pages, is your book complete, or is it like going to be a series, or is it's complete enough right now?
I probably want to make it a series because in the time of Genius Hour that I had, I wasn't able to sum up all of my ideas, but I was able to give it enough of an ending that I was satisfied with in the end. So I'm happy that I was able to give it a good ending, but There's definitely more I need to do with it.
How neat. I wonder if you can continue on that Genius Hour project into next year and keep writing books.
I honestly think I might. I mean, I have a lot more to tell of this story, and the cliffhanger is so traumatic and so big that I might need to keep writing.
I'm wondering if Ava's going to tell us that we do need to keep hearing about this story after she gets done reading it. So could you share, what did you say?
She's not one for cliffhangers, so yeah, she's probably forced me to write another book.
She probably needs to know what will happen. Could you share in like 2 to 3 sentences what your book is about?
Really, my book is about, its title is kind of like, its title is talking about galactic anomalies, so like anomalies in space, and it's basically about these people that are able to like kind of control atoms in the universe in different ways, and they're able to like use abilities that most people can't, and that's kind of like the plot of my book, is these people being able to bend space-time and do things like that.
Okay, you've convinced me. I want to read it now too. So maybe when Ava's done, I can get a copy of it to read.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, well that actually timing wise, we kind of need to transition into the next one. So Jake, wonderful job. You were also a great example of how we can be expressive in our presentations, even though we are doing them over a computer. Thank you all for your questions and comments for Jake. And I see Jake has turned off his video now. Wonderful. Grace, you are going to be up next. So if you want to go ahead and get your presentation ready and share your screen. If anybody needs to take a quick break to go take a drink of water or run to the restroom, we will take like a good 2 minutes before we start Grace's presentation. But we are right on track schedule-wise. You guys are doing a great job with the presentations and with the questions. So thank you so much for participating. Grace, I see your mic is on. Do you need any help with sharing your screen? I hear you clicking.
So how, like, do you just press the share button?
Yep, so that's that little rectangle with an arrow, and you just hit share, and then you should be able to choose which part of your screen. You can share everything, or you can share just the PowerPoint presentation. Do you see that as an option? Oh, yep, yeah. It looks like it's loading. Perfect. Wonderful. Can you all raise your hand function on your computer if you can see Grace's PowerPoint? Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Braden. Thank you, Jake and Edie and Joey and Ellie and Gabby. Perfect. That's everybody. So, Grace, do you feel ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. I'm going to turn off my mic. Go ahead and start when you are ready. Good luck. Here we go.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Grace Wolf, and my presentation is about cooking and baking independently. So why I wanted to do this project is because I was not a very good baker and I was terrible at cooking, so I wanted to get better at it. Another reason why I wanted to learn how to cook and bake is because I wanted to help my mom cook dinner and I wanted to be able to cook and bake in the future. Some of the challenges that I faced were in the beginning when I did not know how to cook and bake. And I was really frustrated with myself because I couldn't make anything. And then another one of my challenges was that my mom said that I had to try and make something all by myself at the beginning, and that was a big challenge for me because I had to just look up how to do everything, so it was really challenging. My success was at the end of my journey when I made a really good dinner with pesto chicken, salad, and mozzarella cheese with tomatoes. And then what I would do differently in my project is I would probably, if there was not a global pandemic going around, I would probably have asked a restaurant to help me with my cooking and baking skills. Two of my favorite things that I made were my pesto chicken and the cake pops. And what I learned from my project is if you try something new and you're not good at it in the beginning, then you should not give up or else you're never going to learn how to do it. And then I just have 2 recipes that I did with pesto chicken and the cake pops. And these are some of the things that I tried to bake in my cooking experience. And so I made homemade Nutter Butters. I made a bunny cake for Easter with my sister. I made a chocolate chip cookies. I made a Mexican dinner with my sister. I made pasta. I made chicken with Parmesan. I made a pesto chicken and pasta, and I made cake pops. Thank you for listening.
Well, Grace, you've got me hungry with that presentation. That all sounded really delicious, and those pictures of the cake pops were incredible. I like how you included the variety of the different things that you attempted to make and bake, and talked about the successes of those. So that was wonderful. If you can go ahead and stop sharing your screen so that oh, I forgot, your video is not working. That is okay. So we can hear you all fine, and if you want to...
How do you
Is it
stop
working?
sharing?
Okay, go ahead and stop sharing then, and that's fine. And if we can see your face, great. And if not, that's okay too. I am going to go ahead and have Jake answer or ask his question or make his comment. Oh, I'm sorry. You asked how to stop sharing. You should be able to go back to that little rectangle button with the arrow.
Yeah.
And click that. And then it just stops sharing. Yep, there you go.
Okay.
Okay, Jake, go ahead and ask your question or give your comment. I know Jake is an incredible baker and cook as well, so.
Okay, so I thought the recipes that you did were really, really good. I thought they, just like Megan said, you definitely got me hungry. Like, I had to have my sister go get me some crackers while I listened to you because you definitely made me hungry. Those sounded delicious. And also, were those the actual pictures of your chicken, your Parmesan chicken and your cake pops that were on that slide?
Yes, those were one of the pictures of them, of the pesto chicken and the cake pops.
Wow, that's really, really good. So nice work.
I agree. Thank you, Jake, so much. Alex, do you want to go ahead and share yours? I know you also do some cooking at home too.
So, did you like baking better than cooking, or what was like your favorite thing to do?
I really like to bake because I just we never really get dessert at home because my mom is a really health nut, so we don't really get to have a lot of dessert. So I really like to bake because then I can actually have a dessert that I made. So yeah, nice.
Great, good question, Alex. Thank you. Anybody else have a question or a comment? Also, Grace, it looks like you still are sharing your screen. It's okay, but if you hit that little that box, stop sharing. Perfect. There you go. There we are. Can I ask, what was I know that the products of those two that you shared were maybe the best, but did you have one recipe that you just really enjoyed making the most?
I think that I really enjoyed making the pesto chicken because I've never really made like a chicken before because like I never learned how, but I think that was my favorite one because it was really fun to make.
Cool. Did you share your recipes with your family? They get to eat them? Yeah.
Them.
Ellie, can I ask you then, like, what was your favorite thing that Grace made?
Well, the cake pops were really good. She made 2 different types. The first ones, they tasted like fudge. They were really, really good. And then my second favorite thing that she made were these really awesome chocolate chip cookies that I ate probably every day.
Those sound really yummy. I think that maybe, Grace, in your next Genius Hour project, you could cater it towards the teachers and faculty at school, and you could bake and cook for us, because those all sounded really delicious.
I'll totally.
All right, any other comments or questions for Grace? Okay, well, Grace, you did a great job. I loved the pictures on the presentation, and you did a good job walking us through the process as well with your. Anything else you want to say, Grace, before we transition to our next presenter?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, great job. Thank you so much for sharing your project with us, and we are going to move on. Joey, you are our next presenter, so Grace, if you want to mute yourself, thank you. And Joey, if you want to get your presentation set up. Again, same thing I said last time, if you need to take a water break or go to the restroom real quick, go for it. It looks like Joey is already sharing his screen, which is wonderful. Can anybody... I'm going to ask 2 questions, and they're going to be similar. Can you raise your hand if you need 2 minutes to go drink some water or go to the restroom or anything? Okay, I don't see any hands raised. Perfect. So then I'm going to transition my question. Can you raise your hand if you can see Joey's screen? Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, Joey, are you ready to go?
Yep.
Wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my microphone, and whenever you are ready, you can go. Good luck.
Healthy Vending Machines by Joey Maestas. If my computer will work, then there we go. Why should we have healthy vending machines? We should have healthy vending machines because studies show that when you eat junk food, you won't concentrate as well, and you get super tired after a half an hour or so, and you don't do as well, and you probably will not get the best grades. The survey. I made a survey to see what kids would want in the vending machines and see if they like what might be in them. After the survey, I comprehended the data to see what I should put in the vending machines. The turning point. At a certain point in my Genius Time project, I decided that my project would not work as well because of the COVID-19 issue. That was when I realized that it would be too complex to change the vending machines from my house, so I decided to change my new project. Since my old project could not happen, I decided that it would be best to discourage eating unhealthy instead of eliminating junk food. Now what I ask of you. So the thing I ask of you is to sometimes look at what you're eating and sometimes think about what you're eating. But if you think that you deserve it, then fine. Because we don't always have to eat healthy. The end.
All right, thank you, Joey. Wonderful. It sounds like you had a little bit of a transition, obviously, in what your project looked like because of COVID, which is pretty tough. But I think it's great that you are thinking about and being mindful of like what we're putting in our bodies. I also love that we've had multiple like food projects. It's very fun. Oh, this is why we have our mics muted, because you can hear my dog barking in the background. Ellie, do you want to go ahead and ask your question? Ellie, your mic is off. I don't know, maybe you put your hand down. Do you have a question?
Why did you choose to do this project?
Well, I thought it would benefit our school in ways that most people don't think of. So, like, just some people could eat unhealthy and say this would be the worst possible situation, but they could fall asleep outside because they're so tired from eating the junk food. And they'll get a sugar high and they'll be like, oh, but sugar's good and it feels good. But it's not good for your body. And a lot of just studies show that there's a lot of things that can go badly when you eat junk food.
Joey, can I ask, what were you thinking about including in new vending machines? Like, what kind of healthy food would you have wanted to put in them?
I was thinking about raisins, probably some apples. We were thinking about some healthy, not energy drinks, but just smoothies. And a few other things like that, like maybe some organic pretzels. A lot of things that usually you wouldn't see in a vending machine, because usually vending machines are on the unhealthier side.
Right, because they're like a lot more processed foods so that they stay okay to eat for a little bit longer, right? Like candy bars, they last a little bit longer than an apple might, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense though. Those are some good things. Jake, go ahead.
So, I really like that with COVID, you decided to completely change your project. I thought that was really good that you knew that you weren't going to be able to pursue this project anymore. So you just decided, okay, I have to do something else for Genius Hour, and you did that. I thought that was really awesome.
I always had a backup plan before even COVID came, because my last Genius Time project was starting a Dungeons and Dragons camp. But since that didn't work out, me and my friends just started calling over the phone and just playing. So I thought, why not try and have a backup plan just in case this plan doesn't work?
Yeah, I think it's great. I agree with Jake. Like you were able to adapt to what's going on now, which is wonderful. Can I ask, so in your updated Genius Hour project, when you're talking about being mindful of what you eat, I like how you're talking about the balance, that it's not that you can never eat unhealthy food, because also food tastes good, right? So we want to be thoughtful of that, but just thinking about it more, because food is really what like powers our body, right? So if we have so much sugar and then we crash and we're asleep, that doesn't really help us in school. So I think it's great. Mm-hmm. What have you done in the second part of your Genius Hour project? What have you done to be more mindful of what you're putting in your body?
I have made flyers so that next year I'm going to try to put them up and show people that like, for example, eating pirate's booty is pretty unhealthy. Like, the cheese they use is not from the right type of cows, basically. They use the cows wrongly, I will say. And there's a lot of different contributors. And I really just thought that I should just try to discourage it with flyers, because people are usually outside of the class so like everybody goes out of class and then they'll all just see one flyer just sitting there, and they'll be like all in front of each classroom, and people will look at them and learn a little something.
Yeah, so it sounds like in a sense you're bringing like awareness to this, because it might be things that people don't know right now, or maybe just aren't like conscious of on a day-to-day basis. I'll be honest, I thought that Pirate's Booty was maybe like a healthier snack, so I wouldn't have known until I saw your flyer that cheese isn't maybe the best cheese for me to eat. So good to know. Well, I think it sounds like you put a lot of effort and thought into this project, and you were able, like Jake said, to adapt, which is really great because COVID kind of all threw us all for a loop. So good job with that. And I thought you did a great job presenting and having an organized slideshow. So wonderful job with that as well. Anybody else have any final comments or questions for Joey? And that is okay. If not, we already had a few. Oh, yep, Edie, go ahead.
I like how your project was really creative and unique. I don't think I would have thought of that project, and that was really cool. Great.
Thank you, Edie, for that comment. I agree. I think it's something that as a 5th grader, I know I would not have been thinking about. So I'm really impressed with it as well. Joey, do you have anything else you want to add before we transition on to our next person?
I don't think so.
Okay, you did a really great job. Also, it's just good to see your face. I haven't seen you as much during COVID, so good to see you. Braden, you are going to be next. So if Joey, you want to turn off your video, and if Braden, you want to get your slideshow going and sharing your screen, wonderful. I think we are good to just start. So if everybody could, again, raise their hand just to make sure that you can see Braden's presentation. Let me see most hands raised. Wonderful. Okay, Braden, are you feeling ready to go?
Yeah, am I on mute, or can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, I'm going to turn off my mic. Good luck on your presentation. Whenever you are ready to start, you can go ahead.
All right. So, hi, my name is Braden, and my Genius Hour project was trying to learn how to switch pitch. So my motivation, yes, I did have times where I did not want to do my project, and I got back on track by thinking about all the times that someone said I couldn't do it. And I would pursue this project again because there's always room to improve on my learning strategies and how I took about the project. So some of my important learning moments were that your mindset is an important part of anything that you do. And don't listen to what people say, because there's always going to be people that won't get what you're doing. And that things aren't always as easy as they seem. And that was a big thing that I took away from this project, is don't just think that everything you're going to do is going to be super easy. Some other things I found out doing my project is I knew I learned a lesson when I found out trying to do something with the other hand isn't easy. And I thought it was going to be, because I'm normally left-handed, but I've never tried throwing with my left hand. One thing that I would do differently would be to start making videos earlier than I had. And I think a big part of that was I just wasn't motivated to film. And I would use things that I learned in this project by using them in my baseball career and to my advantage by playing baseball. My results were that some of the things that caused my results were my training habits. So how long I trained and when I trained, how many times I trained. So my normal training schedule would be like 3 to 5 days a week. Who I trained with, I normally either trained with my dad or my pitching instructor, and how hard I trained. So how much effort I put into that day, or how tired or not tired I was feeling. So my original learning goals were to be able to switch pitch and make a YouTube channel vlogging my process. So my training process, here's a video of me throwing with my right hand, and then there's me throwing with my left. There's a big difference to them. That was when I was just starting to learn. I did meet my goals. I met them by working hard and not giving up, even if I wanted to at some points. And I hit those objectives by being able to switch pitch, and I have put videos on my YouTube channel. Some of my problems were that I wasn't motivated, and that was really a big thing that set me back a lot. And some of the most challenging moments were when I was first learning how to throw left-handed. That made me really frustrated when I couldn't do it, because I thought I was going to be able to do it really easily. And some of the other problems that I encountered was when I was trying to meet my objectives was dealing with my arm injuries. When I was first learning how to throw, I didn't really know how to throw properly, so I'd hurt my arm really bad sometimes. So here's my YouTube channel, and I can pitch with both hands now. I made a YouTube channel, and I pushed my limits, and I learned something new, and those were my big successes. I will continue this project. Maybe not next year, but I have not decided. one of the things that really helped me with this was working with my pitching with my coach Eric Draxton and my dad. Some things that I learned were that I don't have any patience. I give up fast if something is hard, and that I learned that nothing is easy. And these were some of my personal things that I learned that I never really knew before. So thank you for listening. Any questions?
Great job, Braden. I loved that you had videos so that we could see part of that process that you were explaining of switching your pitch. I'm gonna like argue your point a little bit of you not having patience, because I think it sounds like you did have patience. If you worked through like arm injuries as you were learning how to pitch with a different hand, I feel like you have to have patience to get through that. So maybe your patience wasn't as patient as you wanted it to be, but I do think it sounds like you do have some patience. Also, it's cool to see you you in your video as well. I didn't see that you were all dressed up for this. You have a tie on and everything. Great job with your presentation. If anybody has questions or comments, go ahead and feel free to raise your hand now. Grace, why don't you go ahead and start? Thank you.
Why did you choose to do this project?
So originally last summer I had hurt my arm really bad, my right arm, and that's the normal arm I had throwed with. So like there was a big time period where I had to take like 3 or 4 months off. So I decided to learn how to throw left-handed because it had been something I'd always wanted to do. And I just thought it'd be cool to put it into my project.
Yeah, I feel like this is one where it's like a very practical thing that you can use moving forward in your baseball career.
Yeah.
So it like benefited not only like your Genius Hour project at school, but also like something that you're passionate about, which I think is like kind of the purpose of this Genius Hour project, right? Like exploring things that we're passionate about.
Yes.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Great question, Grace. Anybody else have a question or a comment? All right. I think that I heard you say that like you struggled with motivation in this one, and I think that that was pretty normal for not only our normal Genius Hour projects, but also especially during like COVID-19, like not having the accountability that we might have when we're at school. So I think realistically from your presentation, it sounds like you met a lot of the goals that you had and the objectives that you had for this Genius Hour project. So really even maybe through that struggle to have some motivation, you were still able to like persevere and meet your goals. So I'm really impressed with that. Do you think you would have done anything differently if you were doing it again?
Yeah, I would have started making my videos a lot earlier than I had. So I just think that I didn't push myself enough to start filming, and I just wasn't really motivated to do it.
Right.
I'd really just use the excuse, oh, I don't have enough time or I can't do it here, but I really had the time. I just didn't want to do it.
Thank you for being honest about that.
I'm gonna continue doing it this summer when I have a lot more time, not having to worry about school stuff. But
will you keep working with your pitching coach and your dad?
Yes.
Are those good supporters for you?
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, well, great job with your presentation. It was very clear and concise. And like I said, I think having that video as a visual for us to see what your process looked like was really helpful. So great idea in including that.
Okay, thank you.
You have anything else you want to add before we switch to our next person?
Nope.
Okay, great job, Braden. Thank you so much for sharing your project with us. Alex, you are up next. If you want to go ahead and get your presentation ready. Share your screen. Can anybody, while we are waiting for Alex to get started, can you raise your hand if you need a minute to get a drink of water or anything like that? Okay, wonderful. Alex's screen, I can see it on mine. Can you now raise your hand to make sure that everybody can see Alex's screen? Wonderful. It looks like most of us can. Gabby, can you see Alex's screen okay? Yep, wonderful. Okay. All right, Alex, are you feeling ready to go?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Can hear you perfectly. And we've got another cooking one. I'm excited to hear about it. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and you can go ahead and start whenever you are ready. Good luck.
Thank you. So, hi, my name is Alexander Bennett, and my Genius Hour project was to do vegetarian cooking. The reason I wanted to do this is because I'm vegetarian, and I wanted to learn how to make my own food that I enjoy.
Alex, I think you accidentally muted yourself, so we can't hear you right this second.
Okay, is it better now?
Yep, there you go.
So my goal is to learn the basics of vegetarian cooking and learn how to make different vegetarian meals.
So I think when you're clicking, you're hitting mute when you're trying to go through on your PowerPoint. No worries with technological. There you go. Perfect.
So how I was going to do this is I was going to find different recipes to cook with and come up with creative ideas. So my dad, who is my mentor, is going to help me because he has cooking experience because he has owned restaurants and he was a chef also. So I'm going to show you my top 3 favorite dishes that I made. So my very favorite one was cauliflower wings. So cauliflower wings are basically like chicken wings, except cauliflower is subbing for chicken. So how you make this is basically you take the cauliflower and you bread it in egg and flour, and then you put it in a hot oily pan or a hot oily pot, and then and then so we basically made a tartar sauce to go with it and a side of red coleslaw. So here's a video of us frying the cauliflower. So that is basically just what it looks like as you're frying it. So my second favorite one was fried tofu. The reason this was my second favorite one is because I just really enjoy tofu. And so basically how we made this is what's called a panko breadcrumb. So on the outside, that is the breading. And then you put it in a pan with peanut oil. And I'll have a video of that in a second. But we put it with rice, cucumber, and nori, which is seaweed, and avocado. So here's a video of the tofu being fried. So then once it's brown and crispy on that side, you flip it over to the next one. Okay, so this was my third favorite one, homemade pasta. So I'm going to have a video showing how we made this also in the next slide, and I can explain that while the video is going. So basically this is just a time lapse of how we made the pasta. So we make our own homemade dough, and then you put the dough on the top of this machine, and it goes through, and it comes out like this. And you can also replace this thing right here, and you can do any shape of pasta that you want. That's really cool. And there, okay. So other food we made is zucchini boats. So I can explain what that is really quickly. So basically you take a whole zucchini and you cut it, and then you scoop out the inside and you put in like vegetables and rice and beans and pretty much anything that you want in it, and then you put Parmesan cheese on top, and then you put it in the oven for it to cook. And then guacamole. This isn't actually the final product of the guacamole, but that is everything that we put in it. Then we made fries. So fries, you basically cut up a potato any shape you want, like shoestring, curly, or whatever. And this one we just did like fat steak fries. And how you do that is you get a pot of oil and you get it really hot, and then you put the cut fries in there, and you have to put it in twice to get it extra crispy. So what I learned basic knife skills, how to cook different meals, kitchen skills, and cooking takes time. Probably the biggest thing that I learned was that cooking takes time because it doesn't all come to you right away. You have to learn a lot of the basics first, and you can't just learn how to make super complex meals right away. So I would definitely continue this project. There's still so much that I can learn about vegetarian food, cooking, cutting, and all that. And if somebody wanted to elaborate off my project, they could add things that they like to the meals that I made, take away different things, or they could also add meat if they aren't vegetarian. So thank you for listening.
Oh my goodness, another project that made me incredibly hungry, and all of your food creations, especially that last slideshow that showed all those pictures, your food looks delicious. I'm so impressed that it's homemade. Those zucchini boats, I literally think I'm gonna make those for dinner tonight.
Awesome.
Those look so good. And guacamole, I think, is like one of my favorite meals. Well, not meals, but sides to a meal. So, wonderful job with organization on that, and the videos, especially that pasta one with the time lapse. What a neat idea with that. I'm really impressed with how you were able to like present the process of your Genius Hour project. Great job. Looks like we've got a couple questions and comments. Jake, why don't you go ahead and start?
Okay, so I thought your project was really, really good, and the stuff that you made was just, it bedazzled me. I thought it was just phenomenal, and I'm kind of like a young chef too, and the stuff that you made, I felt like how you explained all of it really just like, it made me see how hard it was to cook that stuff. So I'm really impressed that you cooked that stuff because it looks really hard to cook, like the homemade pasta.
Yeah. Thank you.
So nice work.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree, Jake. It looks like you put a lot of time into this, Alex, which is really impressive, especially as so many people have talked about how they've struggled with motivation in this. It looks like you were able to, again, like persevere, like I've talked about with some of our other presenters, and really like still put a lot of effort into this. So great job with that. Thank you, Jake, for your comment. Edie, do you want to go ahead and share yours?
I like how you added pictures to like help explain and give a better understanding of what you made, and I think you did a really good job with your project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Edie. Gabby, do you want to go ahead and share your question or comment?
I really like how you explained each dish and like what was in it, and you made the whole presentation really easy to follow.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Gabby. Yeah, and I just want to comment on the variety of food that you were able to make. I think that sometimes people think that eating vegetarian is really boring, and I think that you were able to showcase that it's actually not, or it doesn't have to be, and that you can get creative in what you're making. The frying of the cauliflower to make it like chicken wings, I think that was really cool too. So, did you enjoy the food that you ate, that you cooked and ate?
Yeah, definitely. It was really good.
Good. I think that's important too, to like be able to enjoy the products of the time and the effort that we put into things. What do you think? I don't think you said it, but maybe you didn't. I missed it. What was your favorite thing that you made?
Probably the cauliflower wings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good. How long have you been vegetarian?
So basically about a year, and then I stopped, so I was for a year, and then I stopped, and then I have been for another year, so it's kind of,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that that's an important thing to recognize too, is that like it can be a process, and figuring out like how and what you want to eat is like a lifelong thing, and it can change and you can adapt depending on where you're at. So that's great. Most important question that I think I have, if we had been doing these in person, would you have baked or cooked something that we all could have sampled at the end of your presentation?
Yeah, so originally I wanted to bring in some sort of food for people to try, but then since the COVID thing happened, it wasn't really possible.
A little tough. Yeah. Well, maybe your family can enjoy some of your new cooking skills. Is Claire home?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure she enjoys it then, so. Yeah. Edie, it looks like your hand's still up. I'm not sure if you just haven't put it down yet or if you have another question or comment.
Oopsies.
Just still up? Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, Alex, do you have anything else you want to add before we go to our last presentation?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, wonderful job. Your presentation was great. Like Gabby said, it was really organized, and like the visuals of it, not even just the video, but just the slides themselves felt very like clear, which helped communicate what your project looked like. So thank you for putting in the time to that. Great job. And I know I've said it all week, but I love the lights in your room. So cool.
Thank you.
All right, great job. And then Edie, you are last up. So if you want to go ahead and get started with yours. All right. Edie, on my screen, it says that your little, like I don't even know what there's little circles that either say your initials or you have a little photo in them.
Oh, okay.
By our names. Do you know that, what I'm talking about?
Wait, what happened?
No, it's not a bad thing.
Oh, okay.
So when when you see someone's name, there's usually either their initials by them or they can set a photo to be like their representation of what they are.
I
Does
hit
yours
that and
say
it didn't.
that-
Okay, wait, let me see.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're sharing your screen fine. I'm just like making a comment. Yours says that you have a Belmont on there, which is the college I went to.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Do you know about Belmont?
Yeah.
Oh, how fun. How do you know about it?
I don't know. I just I want to be a doctor and I found that school and that's what they teach, so I thought that would be cool.
Yeah, it's a really good school. It's just really small, so I'm surprised you know about it. I'm excited though that you do. Okay, I was off topic. I was just making a comment. So, can everybody raise their hands if they can see Edie's screen and hear her? Okay. See, Gabby can. Perfect. Jake. Okay, looks like everybody can. So, Edie, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and when you are ready to start, go ahead and good luck.
Okay, hi, I'm Edie Wolf, and my Spring Genius Time project is Polaroid photography. Okay, what is a Polaroid camera? A Polaroid camera is a type of camera which uses self-developing film to create a chemically developed picture shortly after taking the picture. Polaroid Corporation pioneered consumer-friendly instant cameras and film and were followed by various other manufacturers. Definition of Polaroid: a brand of material for producing polarized light from unpolarized light by dichroism, consisting typically of stretched sheet of colorless plastic treated with iodine solution to have long, thin, parallel lines and optical and lighting devices to reduce glare. So right here, I made a Polaroid timeline of lots of the Polaroids that have been made. And for my project, I used the Polaroid Mini 9 to take my pictures. Okay. So what are the stages of a Polaroid picture developing? So here's a video. Okay, so over here I have how to take good pictures on a Polaroid camera. So set the light settings to the opposite light setting that you are in, or light that you are currently in. Contrast your subject with your background. Use natural light if possible. Try the same subject from different angles. Keep distance from the subject. Don't allow your fingers in the shot. When developing, don't press on the photo or else the photo's ink will move, and don't take pictures with your subject moving, and don't shake your picture while it's developing. Why is your Polaroid picture not turning out? If your pictures are not turning out or developing properly, then I recommend that you make sure your shutter is functioning and the light setting is on the appropriate setting. Sometimes if you leave your camera or film in a hot temperature, that can affect how your film develops and works. If your camera isn't functioning at all, you might need to switch out the battery. These examples I learned from this project. Why I chose this project. I love photography. I want to learn how to take better photos. I think it's interesting that a camera can print a picture. When I travel, I want to be able to take quality photos. I think it's important to save memories. What I discovered and learned from this project. All the history of Polaroid cameras, the proper light settings to use when taking a picture, time management, work your way through the obstacles, use what you have, get creative with your pictures. How the COVID-19 impacted my project. The COVID-19 impacted my project because I finished my poster board and then I heard that I couldn't use it in the presentation because it was virtually. and that was kind of sad because I did take pictures and I wanted to like test them out, and I wasn't able to do that. Also, I think it challenged me to problem solve and use the resources I have. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Edie. Do you have, can you talk about, I guess, what types of photos you were taking, like that you did put on your on your poster before you learned that we would be sharing this virtually?
Yeah, so I took some at school and I tested the different light settings because I was seeing if you like put the lights, so there's 5 different light settings, and there's a cloud, a sun with, that's like not very sunny, a really sunny sun, and then there's house mode and high key. And I tried, so like it was cloudy out, and I tried using cloud mode to see if it would turn out, but and I also tried using sun to like balance it, and it kind of just depends. I didn't really find like the actual like what you're supposed to do. It kind of just depended for me, but it worked better if I did the opposite light setting.
That makes sense. And like we've talked about with a lot of these Genius Hour projects, some of it is just like learning the process and trying out a whole bunch of different things to see what works and what doesn't work. So
yeah.
Sounds like you were able to at least do that before COVID-19 kind of interrupted some things. So
Yeah.
Wonderful job. You did a good job like explaining I liked the timeline a lot that you talked about, and just like that video of how a Polaroid develops was really cool to watch. So that's like one of my favorite things, to watch a photo develop like that. So great job.
Thanks.
Alex, I see you have your hand up. Do you want to share your question or comment?
Yeah, so my comment, I really liked the video that you showed of a Polaroid picture being developed. I thought that was really cool.
Thanks.
Agreed. Thank you, Alex. Jake, do you want to go ahead and share your comment or question?
Yeah, so I thought that, I thought that, your project was very scientific, and I really liked that. I felt like there was a lot of like science that went inside of the project, and I thought it was really cool, and all the things that you got to learn over time. I think that was really cool.
Thank you.
I agree. Thank you, Jake. Do you think, Edie, that you will continue to take Polaroid photos moving forward?
Yeah.
Yeah, you enjoyed it?
Yes.
Good. Ellie, it looks like you have your hand up. Go ahead when you're ready.
I just wanted to say that I think that using a Polaroid camera is really cool because like usually you have to go to Costco to get all your pictures if you're just using on a normal camera, but with a Polaroid you can actually have the cameras. I mean the pictures, not the cameras.
Yeah, I think it's really neat. You know, Polaroids came out quite a while ago, but I think they're kind of, in a sense, making a comeback, which I think is really neat. So, Joey, it looks like you have your hand up. Go ahead when you're ready, bud.
Would you say that using a Polaroid camera is better than using, just say, let's say a phone?
I think a phone, the pictures usually turn out better, but I don't know, because it depends. Like when you're taking a picture, sometimes it doesn't turn out properly. So I don't know. It kind of just depends on what you want. If you want like a physical copy or if you want a digital copy. I don't really have a preference, but.
That's a good question, though, Joey, because, you know, we do have the convenience of being able to take photos on our phone. And I think that there is a cool attachment that you can connect to some iPhones now where you can, like, print out the photos you took. So it is similar to, like, a Polaroid. But I think that there's something in, like, the process and the creativity of being able to, like, capture light, like you talked about, in different ways with the Polaroid cameras. Great. Ellie and Alex, you still have hands up. Do you have other questions or comments, or you just not taking your hands down yet?
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was up.
That's okay. No, totally okay. All right. Any other final questions or comments for Edie? Okay, that is okay. Great job, everybody. If we could all turn our videos back on, because now we have all presented. So if we could all turn our videos back on. See, most of us are getting there to being able to do that. Wonderful. I think that's everyone in our group. Yes, I think so. I just wanted to make sure that you all hear that you did an incredible job, each and every one of you, not only sharing your presentation and adapting to this like online virtual presentation setting, but also as audience members. You guys were really great about paying attention, muting when you needed to, asking questions and giving follow-up comments. And I will say, as a facilitator for the group, it made it really easy for me that you guys all like participated. So thank you so much. I know that it's not necessarily how you wanted to spend your Monday morning. Maybe you did. Maybe it's good to see everybody and to hear different presentations. Yeah, Jake, you're saying yes. I will say it's fun for me to see you guys presenting on what you guys have been working on, because like, as teachers and as educators, we do our jobs because we like spending time with you guys and we like teaching and learning from you. So it's been a bummer to not be able to do that this semester. So having this as still like a wrap up, bringing some sort of like normalcy to the end of our year, I think was really great. And I hope that it was helpful for you guys to be able to see each other and hear each other. I know it was a nice way for me to spend my Monday morning. I think I also lucked out. I got a really great group of students that just are really passionate about what you guys do. So thank you for being who you are, and thank you for doing such a great job with your presentations. It was really neat to hear about all of them. Does anybody have any final like questions or comments or anything that you guys want to say while we're here? Nope. Okay. Jake, do you have something you want to say?
Yes.
Go ahead, bud.
I didn't want to interrupt Joey's presentation, but when your dog was barking, my dog was like laying right next to me, and she got up and she was like, "Ruh!" And then your dog barked again, and then she just ran to our door as fast as she possibly could. And I didn't want to interrupt your presentation, Joey, but she was legitimately like freaking out because we have dogs on every side of our house. So she just went out there and just started barking at nothingness.
That's really funny. I also, when Braden started his, I don't know what it was, maybe it was something outside, but my dog started barking and I had to like get up really quickly and put him outside because I didn't want it to, I know you guys couldn't hear it, but I was like, oh my gosh, what if for some reason you could? And I think that that's part of like that whole like adaptability thing of being home, is that there are different kind of like factors that we have to think about when we are presenting things from home. But you, like I said, you guys all did a great job with that. That's funny that your dog kind of maybe thought that it was one of the dogs. That's too funny. Well, great job. I think we're one of the only groups that really stayed on our timeline. You guys did a really good job of like adhering to and following the guidelines with that. So thank you. Like I said, I'm really impressed with all of you. You guys did a great job. It still is being recorded. So once we get done, I think that link will be shared out with you guys and with your parents so that if anybody wants to go back and watch your presentation, they can. The good news is we didn't have any technological issues at all. And I think that everybody was able to share their screen all right and do everything all right. So it went really smoothly. And I am gonna just make a plug. I know that your 5th grade and 6th grade and 7th grade and 8th grade teachers put a lot of work into organizing this. So I don't think it would be a bad idea to maybe just send them a quick little like Teams message or an email saying like, thank you for putting in the time to make this work. Jake, do you have some? Oh, do you have a card, Jake?
Card. I'm making a card right now as you speak.
Thoughtful.
I just started.
I just
started making a card.
Yeah. Well, I know that they put in a lot of work into it. So if you could do something like that, even if it's just a quick email, I know that they would appreciate that. You guys did an incredible job, and I'm really proud of each and every one of you for putting in the work that you did and being willing to present this virtually, not knowing what this was going to look like. So incredible job. Go have a wonderful Monday. You are now done with your Genius Hour extravaganza. Wonderful job, and enjoy your last week of classes, and hopefully if you have any final tests, they go all right. Have a wonderful time. Hi, Mrs. N and Megan. And enjoy your Mondays. Hopefully get outside. Oh, and Simon and Sarah. I got lots of guests now. So fun. Have a wonderful week. Great job, everybody. And we will see. I'm sure I will see you sometime this week.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you all. Great
Thank
job.
you.
Thank you. I'm going to stop recording now, I think. If I know how. Hi, Ava.
Hi.
Ava. Bye.